Chapter 2. It had begun when she was just a young child. Magdalene had known she was different before she saw the first signs, but when she was about 6 years old, she told someone her fortune by accident. She had seen it. It was like a bright light in front of her eyes, back when she had a pair. Inside that light, she had seen her friend's mother devoured by flames, and worst of all, she had heard her scream too. 6 days later, the friend's house burned down. They were all asleep when it happened, and the mother was the only one who didn't make it out. When she realized she had actually predicted this happening, Magdalene decided never to speak again. And so she didn't for 2 years, until the day they came for her mother. There were 4 of them, 4 men in long black coats, hats, and sunglasses, who approached the house. Magdalene watched them from her swing as they marched toward the house and knocked on the door. Right before it all went down, Magdalene had noticed that one of the men had a big hairy spider crawling on his neck, and the sight of it had made her shiver. She also saw the look of terror on her mother's face when she saw them, and then she heard the spider hiss, and then she saw them grab Magdalene's mother and hold her down. They took out something from the back of their van, something that looked like a handheld vacuum cleaner, like the one Magdalene had seen the old lady living down the street use to clean her golden retriever's long fur. One of the men approached her mother with it. In great distress, her mother then made fire using only her fingers and slung flames at them. And that was when they turned on the vacuum thing, and it made an awful sucking noise and grabbed onto her mother's skin and sucked the very soul out of her mother's body, leaving nothing but an empty shell of what was once her lovely mother. The shell fell to the ground with a thud. From the yard, Magdalene started to whimper, just as her father came up behind her, grabbed her, and ran off with her. The men in black coats in pursuit, but her father was faster than the wind could blow, and they escaped in the blink of Magdalene's eye. For about a year, they hid in a friend's basement, Magdalene watching her dad growing wearier and wearier as the days passed. He would sit in their dark room, his hands shaking, fearing that someone would come to the door, jumping every time the phone rang in the house or someone rang the doorbell. In the end, they didn't even find him in the house, but they got to him on a day he had taken Magdalene to get some ice cream, finally allowing both of them to go out in the daylight. He didn't see them coming until it was too late. Cars drove up, tires screeching, and they held out their small vacuum cleaners at him. Magdalene's father tried once again to run, but this time the men had brought someone with them who was just like him, just as fast as he was, and there was no escape. Magdalene watched yet again as they used their vacuum cleaners to suck out the very soul of her father and screamed as his shell fell to the ground. "Dad!" "What do we do about the girl?" one of them then asked. One of the men approached her with a big hairy spider in his hand, and the spider had taken one look at her, then let out a loud hiss. "She's a super," he said. "She goes." But Magdalene hadn't been as easy a target as her parents. Somehow, she managed to let herself explode into a ball of fire. Then, just by thinking about her old house, she was able to transport herself there in a glimpse of a second, leaving all the men in their black coats behind. But as she did, one of the men, the one who had also been very fast and very much like her father, had reached out his vacuum cleaner and sucked out her eyes. When she found herself inside her old house, she discovered she had also lost her sight. Ever since, she had walked the streets using her abilities to tell people their fortunes and staying on the move, continually fearing that those men in black coats would come for her again, knowing that next time she wouldn't be able to react as quickly, since now she couldn't see them. Now as she stood across from the man who had just approached her, and she asked him if he wanted to have his fortune told, she heard the sound of a spider and the very same hiss as she had heard on that day she had lost her sight. Magdalene gasped and recoiled. Next thing, she heard the man start the vacuum cleaner, and she felt like her entire body was torn to pieces. The man then left her soulless body to rot in the gutter, whistling as he swayed along on his long, skinny legs.